Welcome to another episode of the Charlie Spice Show. I'm your host, Charlie Spice. I hope the lighting is good today. I appear to be a bit dark in my screen, but anyway, this show is really only for the purpose of announcing that I am going to retire from the sex and adult entertainment industry. I've been thinking of retirement now for quite some time, and I leaked the information to a few individuals in my close circle, and you would have thought that I announced I was going to die. Some people were emotional. Some people begged me not to retire because, of course, they're clients. But after 38 years in any industry, retirement certainly is not something that should surprise anyone. There's a time for everything. I started when I was quite young. I was 23 years old in Los Angeles and struggling to survive. I became a male escort and a male stripper in LA. And this was out of necessity to put food on the table. And it has morphed into a very long and illustrious career, taking me all over the world. I moved from LA to Germany for about 4.5 years, then Switzerland, then Eastern Europe. And when I say Eastern Europe, I found myself in places like Budapest, Moscow, Ukraine, Prague, Vilnius in Lithuania. I've been to Romania working. I work with a Russian organization, or let me be more realistic, let me be more honest. I work for the Russian mafia, who owned quite a number of businesses in the adult entertainment industry. They owned casinos, they owned bars, clubs, hotels. They also owned massage parlors, stretching from Moscow all the way to Kiev in Ukraine. And I became their manager for all the girls. I moved from a very small agency with just 28 ladies to an organization where I managed over 30,000 ladies. So I've done my bit, and I no longer enjoy working in the industry. To be honest, I no longer get pleasure recruiting or finding a beautiful young lady for a rich older man. I used to get very excited about it. As a matter of fact, in the beginning, it all went to my head because there were so many beautiful ladies around. I was a young, strapping man, and needless to say, I too had fun. But it's now time. Also, I want to pursue other avenues, other opportunities that have been made available to me more recently. I also want to pursue the completion of my autobiography. I have been writing this for God knows 15 years now, but as I continue in the industry, the story gets longer, so it's never ending. So I actually have to retire to be able to finish my book. Anyway, I've done 18 chapters, and it's time now to go to professional editing to be in readiness for publishing. I also want to make some changes to my book. My book took a direction with which I'm not very happy in the beginning, and I want to go back and make those changes. So I can imagine another 3-4 months of work, and then my book is ready for the market. I will be publishing a sneak preview of my book on my website, which is charliespice.com. Now, CharlieSpice.com was the platform for the Charlie Spice experience, which was actually my service. And just to be more clear about what I'm retiring from, I will no longer be taking bookings from clients to find young ladies or men for that matter. And I will not be involved in the anything that is directly related to sexual services or sexual products. I will be involved in um, advocacy for the rights of sex workers. I am very passionate about that, and I'm hoping to offer my expertise to organizations such as the United Nations, to World Health Organization, to NGOs that are involved in the fight against human trafficking, forced prostitution, child prostitution. I want to get more actively involved, and I will be offering myself for consideration to be part of any initiative based on the fact that I have so much knowledge and understanding of the mechanics and dynamics of this industry. I had the pleasure of doing guest lecturing here in the Caribbean at the University of the West Indies, Cayfield campus. I want to do more of that. I want to spread my wings a bit with my guest lecturing. I have the opportunity to go to places like Asia to do lecturing as well, and I I did not accept that opportunity again because I'm involved in the industry. Leaving the industry will open up doors for me, so I do not have any doubt about whether or not I will be busy after retirement. Now, in spreading the word to a number of people about retirement, I was sent a number of questions by people around the world who I have known for quite some time. Those some were clients, some were associates, and I'm going to share those questions with you and try to answer some of them. Uh, some of them are quite intellectual, actually. I don't. I wonder what sort of job they thought I had to be able to address some of these very intellectual questions. But anyway, let's give it a go. The first question or comment is from a lady called Claire in London. Didn't have a clue who she was in the beginning, but as she wrote, I realized exactly how I met Claire. And she says, "Hi, Charlie. I met you over 20 years ago at a private club called George's in West London. You were there with a few high profile clients and gorgeous ladies who were obviously working with you. So, why are you retiring from a business that afforded you access to some of the world's wealthiest and most influential men?" Good question. Well, I did mention a few of the reasons in the beginning of this episode, and it's there are many things I want to do. After 38 years, I started in 1984. That, if my calculations serve me correctly, that is 38 years. I I'm tired. I no longer find enjoyment doing this, and also too, I think I've achieved most of the ambitions within that industry that I wanted. I've had my ups and downs. I've made lots of money. I lost lots of money. I made lots of money, and uh, but in particularly in Germany, I believe that that was the pinnacle of my tenure in the industry. That is when I made the most amount of money, and I also had some of the most influential clients. I travel extensively with my clients. I travel first class all the way. I got the opportunity to travel in private jets because of clients. Their jet, not mine. I got the opportunity to stay at some of the most luxurious properties in the world, penthouses. I arrange parties for individuals that So Claire is right. I I did meet some of the wealthiest and most influential people. However, at this stage in my life, I do have other ambitions. I want to focus on the Charlie Spice show. By the way, now the Charlie Spice show used to be uh, a broadcast that dealt only with topics related to the sex and adult entertainment industry. I'm going to broaden the scope of the Charlie Spice Show. It is going to become a show that deals with any topic in any industry, in any area, whether it's politics, economics, or the sex industry, topics that are taboo, salacious, scandalous, um, topics that are edgy, of course, and I want to engage in topics where my broadcast will serve to help people who are the underdogs, people who have not received justice, or people whose rights are infringed in any way. These are the kind of shows I want to do under the Charlie Spice. And of course, the more edgy, the more interesting it is for me. Now, I certainly, I certainly would like to invite anyone who's listening at the moment. If you have a story that you think is compelling, that is exciting, do not hesitate. Kindly get in touch with me, and I would certainly consider having you on my show. Now, the next question I got is from New York. This is from a guy by the name of Dan. I'm not sure who Dan is, but he's asking me what are my plans after retirement. Of course, I preempted some of these questions in my preamble in the beginning of the show. I want to write my book. I have to finish it. Like I said, I've done 18 chapters. I want to focus more on being an advocate for the rights of sex workers. I want to focus a lot on my health and fitness. I have not been inside a gym I'm embarrassed to tell you how long. So I need to get back to health and fitness. And that is going to be a main focus starting as early as next week. Traveling. After COVID, everybody wants to travel now again, and I certainly do as well. I want to travel the world. A lot of the things that I want to do, I can do from anywhere. I can do with the use of my laptop, as well as a strong connection to the internet. So I'm not limited to any particular city or country. So I intend to take full advantage of my ability to travel now that I will have this time. Now, here's another question from a guy called Derek. He's from Barbados. And Derek says, just when you were a male prostitute in Los Angeles back in the 80s, how did you feel having sex for money with women you were not attracted to? Well, it was supposed to be a show about my retirement, not about my actual tenure. But in this industry, you have to be able to separate mind from body. It becomes, after a while, just a job. And once you reach that level of consciousness, you are then able to do the job. And with a certain consciousness, you actually enjoy it. You actually enjoy the company of people especially when they're nice. They don't have to be attractive to you. So it in the beginning was a bit difficult, but you acquire that ability, especially when money is at stake and you need that money to pay your bills and put food on the table. You find that level of consciousness to be able to do the job. Okay, this is someone who prefers to remain anonymous from Barbados, and this person is saying, will your book be a name and shame type of book? No. I will not be naming and shaming people. The names will be changed to protect the guilty. Over the years, I built a reputation and a career on the premise of being discreet. And having done that for so many years, I am not about to break that code by starting to name names, and it's not who I am, and there's no need for that to happen for my book to be successful. The book initially was not for commercial reasons. It was to be more therapeutic. It was to be an exercise that enabled me to connect the dots in my life. When you write about your life, you get a better understanding of the choices that you made, good or bad. And I certainly made many of the wrong decisions in life. was going into the sex industry the wrong decision. There were times I thought that it was, because society tends to be very unforgiving. And when you go down that road, particularly when people know that you've gone down that road, you cannot you can't turn around and then suddenly go get a job in a bank or in an insurance company. It doesn't work like that, you know. So this is hence people use aliases. People tend to work in places where nobody knows them. They try to be extremely discreet. I, however, was never discreet. I was quite open, and I made no bones about what my job was. I was quite open. I've been in the press and the media on numerous occasions, and to my own detriment, because it it became the catalyst to my never being able to return to mainstream society fully, or to be, you know, to be accepted. So it's so for anyone who's watching, if you decide to go into the sex industry, be warned. Be warned. It is a road from which there can or is no return, and you have to be ready to tell the rest of the world, "Kiss my ass. This is what I do. Take it or leave it. This is what I did for many years." Okay, let's go on to the next question. We have a question from Miami from a Danny. Danny is asking me, do you believe that being part of this adult entertainment industry for so long created your identity? And the second part of this question is, and if so, do you think that there will be an emotional detachment from it? So let's take the first part. Do you believe that being part of the adult entertainment industry for so long has created your identity? Yes, yes. My real name is Charles Lewis. Most people know that. I never hid my real name from the world. But a client gave me the name Charlie Spice maybe 30 years ago, and it was obviously more marketable. It sounds a lot more sexy than Charles Lewis. So I adopted that name, and it became my moniker. It became my brand, and it was also my alter ego. You know, Charlie Spice had the courage to go into the industry. Charles Lewis didn't, and I leveraged that name, the sexiness of that name. I monetized it, I commercialized it, and I don't think I'll ever be people. People rather see me as Charlie Spice than Charles Lewis, and even those who are not in my industry, even those who who have not been my clients. The second part of the question is, if yes, do you think it would be an emotional attachment from it? Well, I'm not going to detach from the name Charlie Spice. I'm going to keep that name because I'm known as that now, and I will just do other things besides offer sexual services under that name. And my show is called the Charlie Spice Show. When I become a more active advocate for the rights of sex workers, I will do it under the name of Charlie Spice. Anyway, over the years, there were several opportunities offered to me because of my knowledge and expertise and experience in the sex industry. I was offered the opportunity to do some work, or in one instance for grant funding to do advocacy work. But because I was still in the industry, I could not take advantage of those opportunities. Now I'm able to do so. So I'm going to proactively pursue opportunities. I'm going to rewrite my CV, and I will not be shy about mentioning my involvement in the sex industry, because therein lies my marketability to certain organizations who have an involvement in my industry. The United Nations is very keen on fighting human trafficking. They're very keen on supporting any individual, or they themselves, they have initiatives that try to protect sex workers, their rights from being violated. So I will be pursuing opportunities more proactively, opportunities that I could not have pursued before. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Okay, we have a question from Jennifer. She's from New York. Now, Jennifer has asked me, do you feel that being part of this industry for so long has negatively impacted your growth or transformation into other career choices? Absolutely. Can you imagine me trying to get a job with a mainstream company today? My God, who's going to hire me? People are afraid to be my friend publicly because of who I am. Um, so yes, it has affected me in all walks of life, in my personal life, in my professional life. I remember times I would walk into a party, and everyone in the party would just stop talking as I open the door and show my face, because they're wondering, who in here is Charlie's client, who in here works with Charlie. So I've had all kinds of interesting responses from society because of my choice to be in the industry. But one of the things that really something that really stands out is, to me, over the years, is the hypocrisy. Because many people who pointed fingers at me, I would sooner find out that they themselves have either been in the industry, have used the services of sex workers, and and in the final analysis, they don't really have an issue with the industry. They just feel that it is politically expedient to point fingers at me, to sort of cast aspersions away from them. So it's hypocrisy is something that I have the greatest issue with, because wherever I turned, I found hypocrisy in from many people in society. I've had clients who were church leaders. I've had clients who were politicians who spoke out against prostitution. I've had clients who were police officers whose job it was to eradicate prostitution. So it's left a very bad taste in my mouth. Will it affect me having making choices in the future? Yes. Even though I retire, I will. There are many opportunities that I'm unable to pursue. But to be honest, I don't really want to pursue any of those opportunities anyway. So, big deal. Okay, we have just a few more questions. This is going to be a very short episode, by the way. Don't want to bore you with my talk of retirement. There's a Deborah from Barbados, and she is saying, what is your value add from your experience all these years that you can add to the industry as a consultant, advisor, or in advisor in the political space? Very interesting question. Um, the United Nations, they're very proactive in encouraging governments around the world to develop initiatives to decriminalize sex work as a measure of protecting sex workers, protecting their rights, protecting them from being violated by others, by people in authority. And there is there's a lot I can add because I have been in the industry. I am not someone who studied psychology at university or sociology, and I now have a PhD. And now I think that I know how to handle problems with of people in the industry. I have been on the front line. I have worked as a sex worker. I've worked as a manager of agencies. I've operated as an owner in the industry for so many years. So I have a lot more to add in terms of value, or as a consultant to any initiative. And like I said before, I'm going to proactively pursue some of those opportunities. So yes, I can add a lot of value. I I do understand the political strategy behind having that PhD who is an exponent in psychology. But I want to work with them. But I think it's important to have someone like with my level of experience and expertise in the industry, knowledge of the industry, and I am the industry. I am a product of the industry. You're not going to get any closer than that. So yes, I'm very confident that I can add a lot of value to any initiative when it comes to addressing issues or problems within this industry. Okay, it is a Mia from Italy. This is not our Prime Minister Mia from Barbados. This is Mia from Italy. So let's make that very clear. We hear so much about human trafficking as well as exploitation. What have you experienced in these two areas that shifted your commitment to the industry? Interesting question. I will answer that by sharing an experience I had in Europe. I started to realize that some of the ladies I worked with were actually trafficked in the beginning into the industry. And when I found that out, I took money from my personal funds to help them to get back to their homes and back to their families. When this was found out by the persons who trafficked them, I think it was the Albanian mafia and the Gypsy mafia. They vowed that they were going to cut my throat, shoot me in the head, all kinds of. I mean, how many ways can you kill a person? But anyway, so there are some parts of Eastern Europe that I would be very cautious about returning to because of this. So I'm very happy of the upbringing I had in Barbados. Um, it, there's certain lines I would never go beyond with it in this industry. I have no problem with this sex industry as long as it's with consenting adults. I do believe that what consenting adults do in the privacy of their home is not the church's business. It's not the government's business. Okay, so knowing about human trafficking, knowing about exploitation, I there's no need, in my opinion, to exploit or even traffic someone to do this work. There are women out there who are, from a very young age, they want to become part of this industry, whether it's out of necessity or out of just wanting to have the best clothes and the best of everything in life. Particularly after the series of recessions we've had, the latest one being COVID, so many more people are turning to the industry. So why is there a need to traffic anyone? Anyway, I hope that I have addressed that question to the satisfaction of Mia. And it's saying, have you personally experienced any human trafficking or exploitation accusations? Oh, absolutely. I have been accused of that, even though you see when President Trump ratified the foster and fester law into legislation, that was, in my opinion, and the opinion of many people in the industry, that wasn't thought out properly because it just casts a very wide net, and everyone who's directly or indirectly involved in this industry is now guilty of human trafficking. And I think that is wrong. I think the law needs to be more defined, to be more definitive about what is actually human trafficking. It's too broad based. Anyway, yes, I have been accused of that, but I can assure you I have never purposefully or deliberately gotten involved with anyone that was trafficked. And like I said before, there were instances where I actually helped people to go back to their families when I found out. And that today is a mark against me in certain circles. I became a victim of human trafficking myself. When I was in Eastern Europe and I worked for the Russians, they took my passport with the understanding that they were going to get it stamped for me to be naturalized to be in Eastern Europe. And I was given another passport in the meantime. And I was told that it would take maybe about 30 days. 6 months later, I still did not have my passport. And I found out from someone that the intention was never to return my passport because they wanted to keep me where I was, making the kind of monies I was making for them. I remember generating in excess of 250,000 US dollars in a single weekend. We At one point it went up to maybe $1 million in just certain cities. They were generating. I mean, there was so much money at stake, and of course they wanted to ensure that I never left the organization. I actually had to pay someone to get my passport back. So I too became a victim of human trafficking, but fortunately, I had resources that enabled me to remove myself from that situation. Okay, all right. Well, look, we have come to the end of this episode. I intended it to be a short one. I think we've been online now for about 20 minutes or so. Anyway, I just wanted to announce officially that I am retiring from being an operator in the sex and adult entertainment industry, much to the disbelief of many people, much to the shock of many people. And I will be focusing on my Charlie Spice show, advocacy work, and any other opportunity that allows me to use my many years of knowledge and understanding of this industry. So I want to thank you very much for tuning in. If any of you would like to get in touch with me, my website is charliespice.com. I'm quite busy updating my website. I'm going to make many changes. Before, the site was all about my work in the industry. Now the website is just all about me, Charlie Spice. I am now the topic of conversation on the site. So anyone who wants to reach out, please, you can reach me at charliespice@gmail.com or charliespice.com. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and it's been a pleasure. I thought I was going to get emotional, but I'm happy to retire. I can't wait to get to the beach every day, walk my dogs, and enjoy life. So again, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Peace. I'm out.